Okay. think I'm up and running. What's up? How's it going, YouTube audience? And also, how is it going, podcast listeners? Welcome back to an episode of Tangle Tales. I just started the audio recording, and I'm recording video for this as well. So, welcome back to another little update. I am drinking a tiny little light beer called Tiny from Black Star Co-op. We brewed it. That's about 3%. Super tasty. But yeah, I needed something like this after today. It is hot, very hot, and I sweat all day. So, yeah, just wanted to jump on here and give a little update. Not posting a lot. I'm not doing any like TikToks or like Instagrams. I feel weird. I probably should be, but just don't have anything to like, I feel like I don't really have anything to like capture. Like I'm not pouring beer. I guess I could be taking videos of like cleaning or filling kegs and stuff. But anyways, so I just am kind of resorting to updating y'all through this podcast and YouTube channel. But maybe I'll clip some of this and put it on like Instagram videos or stories or whatever. But yeah, so update. I went up to Temple today and kind of checked on the beers. I feel like every time I go up there, there's just something else is wonky. But this heat is like crazy, and this glycol unit just is not able to keep up the way that it needs to for the beers that I'm brewing. So that's pretty unfortunate, but we're just gonna have to deal with it throughout the rest of the summer. So all the tanks were about 10 degrees higher, 8 to 10 degrees higher than I was anticipating, which is a bummer. But luckily, one of them was just the cold liquor, and I can't brew tomorrow. So, yeah, it's just kind of irrelevant. So turn that off and just maintain the beer temperatures. And then I ended up kegging off the 13-degree Tamave. So that was the first batch that I brewed of that on the new system. I think I mentioned that I was tasting it, and it's, borderline, kind of not sure where I sit as far as whether it's servable or not. But today I tasted it again side by side with, I still have a little bit left of the old batch, and it's tasting pretty nice. So I think I am going to be able to serve that. So I kegged about 3.5 barrels, 7 kegs worth of that off. And then I also kegged 1 keg worth of the 10-degree pale lager. That one, I do notice a little bit of DMS in there, but again, it's borderline whether or not I want to serve it. So I'm going to give that one another taste. But interesting update. I think I mentioned that one of my many frustrations that I've had in the past few weeks was when I brewed the 12-degree pale lager. I had the brew day from hell, and then I, kind of got back on course and kind of set up a double burner situation and boiled my wort really well, and then ended up knocking it out and whatever. It kind of got through the brew day and felt okay about the wort production side of things, and then went to go harvest yeast and just had not at all the amount of yeast I was expecting in the bottom of the fermentation vessel that I was harvesting from. And so I pitched what I thought was a super inadequate amount of yeast, but it was like Sunday and at like 5 p.m. and there was like literally nothing I could do. I couldn't go to a homebrew store to try to get some yeast. I couldn't, like, all of my, brewery friends that would have potentially had yeast were unavailable. And so anyways, just kind of like, whatever, I guess we'll see what happens. And so I'd come back in and checked on the fermentation later in the week, and just like no activity in the airlock, no bubbles. Usually if you're in the brewery on a daily basis, you can hear, but you can also smell fermentation happening. And so didn't notice any bubbles and was super frustrated because I'm like, well, they just brewed this next batch of beer, and now I'm gonna have to dump that too. But anyways, took a gravity reading and the gravity was dropping. So it's like, well, some fermentation's happening, but there's no bubbles in the airlock, which is very weird. So came back in a few days later, no bubbles again. Took another sample. It's like, God, what is going on? Like, the gravity's dropping, but there's no CO2. Anyways, looked like it'd been fermenting pretty well. So I ended up closing the outlet of the fermentation vessel to trap the CO2 from the remainder of fermentation, and came back in today, check on the beers, and there was no pressure that was built up. So I was super confused. took a gravity reading. The beer finished out like to the degree that I would expect it to, about 2.753 degrees Plato. And so I was just, I didn't know what was going on. And it tried to pressurize the vessel, and then it wasn't taking pressure. So I was like, oh, is there like a leak in this? Is something, what's going on? So I ended up finding out that these tanks, these fermentation vessels, have this big, giant, super heavy disc lid that, whatever, it's like screwed on with these big, what are they called? Eye bolts, or I forget what they're called. Anyways, they're just screwed on with these bolts that keep the lid pressed onto this gasket as a seal. But I went up there and I could smell, as I'm pressurizing, I could smell and hear CO2 coming out of that gasket. And so the gasket was like, for whatever reason, was not seated properly and was leaking out. So all of that CO2 gas from fermentation was just getting expelled through the top, which it's not great that was leaking out. It's actually quite concerning, but at least it was kind of like put my mind at ease, like, hey, this was an active fermentation and I'm not just crazy. I'm not like taking these gravity readings that are just slowly dropping for no reason. But so that was positive on the day. And but yeah, everything else was pretty still in a frustrating spot where like I'm not quite ready to serve this beer. And if I do decide to not serve the 10, then it's just more weeks of not being closed and not having any money coming in, which is a bummer for any of you. Like, I started a business and it's costing more money than I expected. And it's like, I don't think that's ever happened to anybody else. This is a very unique problem for me. This is obviously sarcasm. But yeah, it's just a weird time where it's like, hey, I'm trying to brew all this beer and sell it. And it just happens to take like 2 months. And so any hurdles just prolongs the period, or prolongs this like waiting to make sales. So that's a bummer, but I'm pretty optimistic about this being able to brew moving forward. I think I'm probably going to end up brewing smaller batches regardless, because the combination of the burner issue and the cold liquor tank issue, it's just, that is what it is. But I think that I'm going to be able to mitigate the, I hope that if for the people that are watching this on YouTube, feel free to go back and listen to my previous podcast episodes, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you do on the interwebs. But I've talked about like capacity and the fermentation period for these particular beers, the lagering time, and why it takes so long. And so capacity has been like a huge stressor for me, because, you know, if I brew, the system is like 3.5 barrels of volume. If I brew one batch at 3.5 barrels and it takes 2 months, you know, I need to make sure that I'm maxing out that volume. But now it looks like I'm going to be probably brewing like 2.5 barrels, 3 barrels. So I'm reducing the volume that I'm brewing. So I think I'm going to be able to mitigate that capacity limitation by getting more kegs. So kind of what I was doing with the original system was brew into a fermentation vessel, cold crash, lager in that vessel for a period of time, and then keg off and finish the lagering inside of the cold room, which is constantly at like a 38 degrees. So I think that I will probably need to lean on that a little bit in the beginning, and then hopefully I can, you know, build up and, you know, save money to spend on like a bigger glycol unit and better fermentation vessels and lagering storage area and another cold room and all the, you know, 5,000 other things that need to be purchased to run a brewery. But I'm bootstrapping it. I'm doing it slowly. I'm cash flowing it. So it's bear with me if y'all are customers or you're just listening to me rant on these videos and these podcasts. Just know that I'm doing it all myself and trying to take it slow and steady. So ultimately I can you know, have the product that I want out there and not just like rush into things. And yeah, all that to say, it's still going to be a few weeks before I open, And yeah, but I'm slowly starting to get an idea of things that I want to do for the space. I'm not going to have anything crazy going on initially because, again, money. You need money to like rebuild or like, you know, put a patio extension out in the parking lot or whatever. But definitely gonna have some probably like, you know, dominoes and other tabletop games. We have a TV in there, so probably going to have some stuff playing on the TV. Looking into getting a sign for the front space so that it looks like Tanglefoot, and then clearing off some old equipment that's in there that's restaurant specific. So, and then decorating with some signage and posters and things like that are beer related. So it's a lot of stuff. My last day, though, at Black Star is August 22nd. So if you are around on August 22nd at like 5 o'clock or later, come on by Black Star and have a going away beer with me. But after that, I will be fully dedicated to Tanglefoot. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to having beer to sell and drink and share with all of you. So that's pretty much it for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you are, like, comment, subscribe, share, go on to Spotify, listen to the podcast, come back, look at me talking into my camera phone, go on to TikTok and watch my previous videos. I haven't been posting on there, but hopefully I'll get some encouragement with some more engagement on there, and then I'll post some more stupid stuff. And Instagram, Tanglefoot Beer, Facebook, Tanglefoot Brewing, all that stuff. Yeah, so there you go. All the internet stuff. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hope y'all are doing well. Keep drinking lager. Cheers. Bye.